Hi everyone, I'm Liberty Doll, and welcome to the pilot video for Liberty Update, where I hope to regularly bring you guys all the big news and media headlines of the week so that you do not have to wade through the internet and find them. So, right away, the most ridiculous thing to hit the news probably ever happened this week, right? And it all began with the innocent Pepe the Frog meme, which honestly, I had to Google because I had no idea what the hell he was supposed to mean. I just know that, like, I see little teenagers running around with, like, pictures of him on their laptops and stuff, but whatever. So, Donald Trump's son posted a meme, like a movie poster with pictures of Donald Trump and all these people, and Pepe the Frog, and it said, "The deplorables," which was a take on something that Hillary Clinton had said previously, calling Donald Trump supporters deplorable. So his son posts this meme with Pepe the Frog, and all of a sudden everyone jumps on it, and Hillary Clinton posts what she calls the explainer on her campaign website, graciously informing the people of America that Pepe the Frog is apparently a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, nationalist propaganda meme. Yes. So this took over media by storm. I mean, I saw articles about this everywhere, you know, her campaign website, I think Newsweek, NBC, all these places, right? So then the Daily Beast comes out and they claim to have spoken directly to the orchestrators of this event. They claim that they have talked to some of these neo-Nazi white supremacists directly, who they found via Twitter. And these guys talk about the plan and how it was originally orchestrated on 4chan, which is, of course, the, bastion and cornerstone of truth and seriousness on the internet. And supposedly this plan was, pulled out of the butts of a bunch of teenagers on 4chan deciding that they wanted to, take back the meme from the normies. So this is part of their big orchestrated master plan. Congratulations, America, you have been trolled. Apparently phase 2 of the conspiracy is also to turn Taylor Swift into an Aryan goddess sex symbol, which, I guess if that's your thing, it's good to have goals. In other equally ridiculous news, Hillary Clinton collapsed at a 9/11 memorial this week, which campaigners first explained away as a cough that she had developed from allergies, and then talked about overheating, even though it was a mild New York day, supposedly in the 70s. And then finally, they were like, oh, well, she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday, and we just didn't want to tell anybody. So this video surfaced of Hillary Clinton collapsing and basically being dragged into a van by some Secret Service agents, and she was then taken to her daughter's apartment when about, an hour and a half later, she emerged looking happy, healthy, saying it was a great day and she was feeling great. So theories as to what actually happened range all the way from, seizures, cancer, Parkinson's, poisoning, and of course my personal favorite, reptilian skin rejection, all of which are supposedly being covered up and explained away by body double Teresa Barnwell. Now, Teresa Barnwell did contribute to this a little bit by posting on social media that she was in New York that day, which helped to fuel these rumors. There's pictures all over you can see that are comparing, Hillary Clinton before and after, and then comparing her to Teresa Barnwell, but Teresa Barnwell revealed that she was actually in LA filming an episode of Lip Sync Battle or something like that, and that there is no body double and she just likes to impersonate her in Vegas or something. This was not helped also by the fact that Sunday night a New York news anchor accidentally reported that Hillary Clinton had died. That statement has since been retracted and apologies have made, but it was said live on air on a New York TV station that Hillary Clinton had died. So, that did not help the tinfoil at all. Trump has responded to all of this by demanding Hillary Clinton be more transparent about her health and her medical records, and wants everyone to reveal their medical records. Meanwhile, Gary Johnson has jumped on this bandwagon and has been giving interviews talking about how healthy he is, and even called himself in one interview the top 1% of the top 1% of good health. And supporters have been posting articles. There was even one in Men's Health recently calling Gary Johnson the healthiest and most fit presidential candidate of all time. Also on the campaign trail this week, it was revealed that the Clinton campaign is systematically overcharging their small donors, so much so that the Wells Fargo Fraud Department is receiving over 100 phone calls a day from people demanding refunds. In each case, the campaign charged the donor random amounts on a weekly and sometimes daily basis, but, and here's the catch, made sure that the amounts never added up to $100 or more, because that is the cutoff for when a bank is required to investigate a fraudulent charge. Many donors claim that they tried to resolve this issue first directly with the Clinton campaign, but would have to do 30, 40, even 50 phone calls sometimes before they ever got a call back or reach an actual person. In each case, when people did finally get to talk to the campaign said that they would stop the payments, but they would not issue a refund because they are simply not in the business of providing refunds. So the banks have been giving the refunds because it's, small change to them. It's less than $100. But one victim actually went so far as to bring the case to the Attorney General and have it forwarded to the Federal Election Commission. But the Federal Election Commission is saying they have no record of the case and have never heard about this before. Now, just last week, former President Bill Clinton compared himself to Robin Hood, saying that he and his foundation take money from people who have lots of it and encourage them to give it to people who don't have a lot of it and save jobs and save lives and save the world. Unfortunately, most of the people being overcharged in this campaign are actually the campaign's lowest income supporters. But if you are looking for anything negative about the Clintons, don't try Googling it. A new study by Robert Epstein, a psychologist from the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology, revealed that Google has actually been tinkering with their autocorrect feature and search engine rankings in favor of Clinton. His research found no such bias with Bing or with Yahoo, but it has been confirmed to exist with Google. Google, of course, denies this, but still, if you type in the search bar Hillary Clinton is, you don't get anything negative, usually. I tried it myself earlier, and one of the top results is Hillary Clinton is awesome. On the libertarian front, Gary Johnson hit his highest poll numbers so far earlier this week at 13%. But, as we all know at this point, in order to be included into the presidential debates, the Debate Commission requires a 15% average across 5 polls of their choice. Of course, they are picking polls that he did not score at 13% in, and his average in the polls that they have picked so far is only at 8%. They are waiting for the result of a 5th poll, which at the time of this filming had not yet been revealed, but in order to hit the 15%, he'd have to score at 42% in this poll, so it's not very likely, and it looks like the door is closing. In order to try to combat this, many supporters are planning a 1,000 person protest in Washington, D.C., which will occur on September 21st. You can Google it, you can check it out, you can sign up for it on Facebook. He is currently being endorsed by 3 newspapers, which is 3 more than Donald Trump is, and was recently called a voice for free markets by the Detroit News, which is the 2nd largest newspaper in Michigan. Johnson is pulling over Trump with millennials, veterans, and active duty military. Some interesting statistics out this week. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the first 11 months of the 2016 fiscal year saw the government taking in $26 billion more than last year, which is a 1% increase, which is a record all-time high. The government has never in the history of the United States taken in this many taxes, and the year isn't even over. Brown University also released a study this week that the war on terror has cost the U.S. $5 trillion to date, which most of that money went directly to the Department of Defense and Homeland Security's terrorist prevention stuff, which, we've learned in multiple reports does nothing and has stopped nothing and has found nothing, but they get billions and billions of dollars and are requesting billions and billions more. The report also estimates that the healthcare costs for veterans returning from these wars will be upwards of $1 trillion. I don't even know what that looks like. That is a lot of money. $1 trillion to take care of the people that our government is sending off into these unwarranted wars where we are raining down democratic freedom. All right. Also, the annual Economic Freedom of the World report came out this week, and while the global economic freedom improved slightly this year, the U.S. is still ranked at number 16 for the second year in a row. Top scores went to Hong Kong and Singapore, with New Zealand and Switzerland not far behind. I can't say that I'm entirely surprised. The last time that the U.S. was anywhere near the top was in, I believe, the year 2000. We were number 2, and we have been on a steady decline ever since. The Daily Beast here again. I don't know why they're popping up so much this week. They put out a report that over half of the deaths caused by police officers are not actually reported, which is kind of a big deal because there's actually federal regulations requiring for them to be reported. Whoops. The law enforcement-related homicides are required to be reported via the Justice Department's Arrest-Related Death Program. It's part of an initiative that was developed also in the year 2000. And some states, like Georgia, kind of just never put in any information ever. Some states haven't put any information in since 2003, and as a result, no reports have come out since 2012 about any of this, but there was an internal report that said that in the 6 years where they did look at the data, there was an average of 453 deaths a year over a 6-year period of police-related deaths. But when the Justice Department researchers decided to Google it, they actually found that every year there's an average of 928 police-related deaths. So there's that. One particular police-related death has made the news this week when an officer who didn't fire at an individual was fired from his jobs on ground of putting other officers in danger and failure to eliminate a threat. So this is Stephen Mader, I hope I'm saying his name right, Stephen Mader of West Virginia. He was recently terminated from his job as a police officer after being called to the scene of a domestic. So this domestic involved 23-year-old Ronald Williams. He got in a fight with his girlfriend, became suicidal, and when she called the police, she told them they had gotten in a fight, he was armed, and that he was planning to commit suicide by cop. So this officer shows up and he has special training from his time as a Marine, and he has decided that, even though this guy has a gun, it's pointed at the ground, he's not doing anything with it, he's going to try to de-escalate the situation until 2 other officers show up as backup and promptly shoot this Ronald Williams in the back of the head, killing him instantly. So this is reported to their superiors, and Mater is relieved from duty because he put the officers in danger by not shooting this guy, and it was later found that his gun was unloaded, the guy that was shot, that is. So he wasn't a real threat. Now, I would not expect officers to know that because you cannot tell by just looking at a gun from a distance, or at all, unless it's got a loaded chamber indicator. You can't tell if it's loaded or not. But anyways, he had control of the situation, he was working on it, and these other guys came in, guns a-blazing. Another death that was, pretty big news a while back, Philando Castile, over in Minnesota. Now, officials in St. Anthony, Minnesota are also looking at arrest-related deaths after his shooting earlier this year. Officials have actually been engaged in talks with residents and activists about starting a racial bias task force. This task force would be tasked with the task, that was a lot of tasks, they would investigate racial bias in the local police department. Both the mayor and the city council have expressed interest in this, but it hasn't really gone anywhere yet. It hasn't been put to a vote, but it's something that's sort of like floating around in the ether. So, how about some good news? We like good news, right? That doesn't come very often. Canada has legalized medical-grade heroin in order to combat addiction. This is something that I think is really cool because if you've watched any of my other videos, I've mentioned in passing here and there how I'm actually a mental health therapist. So of course I have worked with people with addiction. I have worked with the criminologic population, people on probation, parole, people with drug offenses, nonviolent crimes, victimless crimes, all kinds of things. And what I have learned, and what you can find in the research as well, is heroin overdoses are most often actually caused by inconsistencies in the grade of heroin, the dosage, things like that. And, especially up here in the New England area, it has been laced with fentanyl, which is a much more powerful opiate, whatever. And I mean, it is causing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of overdoses. It's bad. So Canada has actually run a little experiment. They've had a small clinic working on this with 52 patients already, where they've been administering small doses of medical grade heroin for up to 3 times a day. These people, they come directly to the clinic, they get injected directly at the clinic, so there's no crime, there's no dirty needles to worry about. These 52 people aren't being prescribed methadone or Suboxone, which a lot of times is actually worse than heroin, and the withdrawal and recovery can be a lot longer and a lot more painful and a lot worse. People on methadone, I've seen them withdrawing for weeks. I mean, sometimes over a month. When with heroin, it's 3 or 4 days, sometimes a week's tops. So this law in Canada would allow doctors with special permissions, they have to apply with a permit just like anything else, but it would allow these doctors to prescribe this medical grade heroin to certain addicts who meet certain criteria that they've tried other things in the past, detoxes, therapy, whatever, and maintenance programs, and they didn't work. So that law is in effect. Canada has also announced earlier in the year that they have plans to legalize weed. That hasn't happened yet. They are looking at how to regulate and tax it. So it's a step in the right direction. Taxes are never a good direction, but I mean, it's better than the current situation. And Google and Chipotle, this is really exciting, Google and Chipotle have teamed up to test out an FAA-approved drone burrito delivery program. Let me repeat that, a drone burrito delivery program. How cool is that? They are testing this out at Virginia Tech later this month. Even though the trials are only going to be for a couple weeks, they are hoping to figure out a way to do this worldwide. Well, not worldwide, wow. Countrywide, statewide, whatever. There are programs in the UK with Amazon already, and New Zealand or Australia, Amazon and Domino's do something. I don't know. But hey, if this works out, maybe eventually the US will legalize weed and there will be burritos and tacos dropping from the sky. I don't personally smoke, but I love tacos and burritos, so I am all about that. In the booming new industry that it could create. And finally, probably one of my favorite things to talk about is gun rights and the Second Amendment. I make a lot of videos about that. So, big news. Missouri has become the 12th state to recognize constitutional carry this week. Senate Bill 656 was originally vetoed by Missouri Governor Nixon, but the General Assembly overturned his veto, widely exceeding the 2/3 majority needed to pass the bill. The bill will allow residents to conceal carry without a permit starting in January 2017. So that's right around the corner. So congratulations to Missouri. The bill also creates stand your ground laws and expands current castle doctrine protections for anyone legally allowed into a gun owner's home, property, car, or business. So that means if you're in Missouri and you're a gun owner and, you've got a business and, a friend of yours comes into the business and some crazy mad axe man is attacking him or her, you can, use force if necessary to get rid of the axe man, and it is perfectly legal and you have saved your friend. And everyone is reasonably happy except the axe man, but then, he shouldn't have been an axe man. Earlier this year, West Virginia, Mississippi, and Idaho also all passed constitutional carry legislation. Gun control groups are, of course, warning about the blood in the streets. We will be flooded with blood in the streets. There will be blood everywhere. You will not be able to walk your dog or drive your car because of all the blood everywhere. Though that hasn't actually happened anywhere, but that's what they say. They warn that violent criminals will now legally be able to carry guns and shoot people. Because that's apparently, what violent criminals do. Even though violent criminals are already federally prohibited from owning guns and carrying them and shooting people. But hey, that's logic. How does that work? Am I right? So, thanks for watching the first episode, pilot episode, whatever, of Liberty Update. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. I'm open to suggestions. If enough people are interested in this, I might also do an audio-only version that can be downloaded as a podcast. I will figure it out. So, again, comment, let me know what you think. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.